Real war of the century. Artificial intelligence.
Obey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, December the 28th. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you had a great Hanukkah. And, of course, wish you all a happy New Year as we approach the new year. And, of course, the real war of the century is artificial intelligence. Again, we're all excited about the shiny new toy and how good it works and how you can ask Copilot or Gemini or all these different apps on what to do and how to think. But at the end of the day, it is destroying our natural resources. It's destroying the minds of our youth. It's destroying a lot of things in its wake. And of course, not to mention the copper that it uses and the rest of the raw materials that it uses to produce the amount of power that it takes to do it. I think that it's really making us a weaker nation because of it. And again, I think that, there's certainly nothing wrong with using the artificial intelligence as a tool. But I think that when you take away the ability of, especially of your youth, to think and to have to use real logic on their own without depending on machines, I think that becomes a problem as well. And of course, this is, if you go back to the old movie War Games, this could create a much bigger problem down the road. I mean, you've got lots of issues, and I'm not against it, but I think there should be better uses for it and better ways to use it, and we need better education for our kids and so on and so forth. In the meantime, you've got Chinese cargo ships now being converted into concealable missile destroyers. You don't think that we're on the verge of a war? This is very, very scary when you look at the big picture, because I would think that based on what's going on throughout parts of the globe, war is almost inevitable, and hopefully we can calm it down. But again, you've got a lot of sneaky things going on and problem, and of course, and the Supreme Court refused Donald Trump for bringing in the National Guard into Chicago. Obviously, now we talk about the Constitution a lot here, and it is the city's right, because government should be run and is run by the Constitution, city, county, state, and the federal as overseers. But if you were living in Chicago, if you were a citizen of Chicago, wouldn't you want the National Guard there with what's going on? So I think that the politicians in Chicago and Illinois are fighting against President Trump, not looking to protect their citizens. I think that's a bigger story, and I think that's a bigger problem. But again, that's up to you. A federal judge rules that California can't hide child gender swaps from parents. Have we gone totally off of our fucking minds? Okay, off our rocker here, that we have California doing gender surgeries and hiding it from the parents? Think about that. Mortgage applications decreased again. So again, you can talk about the rate cuts. You can talk about what you want. At the end of the day, we have a lot of problems here. Medicare and Medicaid fraud. I mean, it's brazen. I've talked about it many times before on my Monday call and here. I mean, it's just pure stealing. And the real problem is that the fraud is not defrauding the government. The fraud is defrauding you and me, the taxpayer. Because remember, government doesn't make any money. Government makes debt. We are the money behind government. And I think it's a problem when you look at it. And I think that you look at the overall bigger picture, and a lot of the markets are telling you how big some of these problems are. And I think as we stretch into into the new year, I think there's a lot for you to think about markets and whatever. We'll talk about in our market report, but we don't talk about this a lot. But how to structure your estate so your heirs can avoid the financial heartache. That's something we're going to talk about in our commentary. But I think some things to look at for 2026 and would be, how much do you think the economy will grow in 2026? Personally, I think the growth that we've seen is phony anyway, so I don't think it's going to grow very much. I think we're very dangerously close to stagflation. How much will job growth grow? Well, I think jobs are going to shrink. We've already seen it at the end of this year with UPS and Amazon and others laying off massive amounts of jobs that will never get replaced. So that's something to think about. What will the unemployment rate be? Well, again, I think it's going to be higher. I think we could be unemployment in the 6 or 7% this year coming up. What will participation rate be? Again, the participation continues to fall. Remember, a lot of the jobs that we're showing are jobs that people working more than one job. So it's again another problem. Uh, the Fed funds rate, look, that is a scam. That is a penalty to you, the taxpayer. And of course, isn't it wonderful that the Fed can cut rates, the banks can benefit, but if the banks go and get into trouble, guess who gets to bail them out? Okay. Will wages increase? They'll increase, but I don't think they'll increase anywhere near what inflation is going to be. Again, if we keep having this, we have a backwards math model, okay? And it's all due to and based on things that the Federal Reserve do, okay? Uh, what will happen to house prices? Well, I believe, personal opinion, again, it has nothing to do with fact, it's just an opinion, but I believe housing prices will collapse in 2026. We'll see. Uh, and then, of course, will there be more housing inventory? And I think yes. Look, again, who can afford a house? Okay. People aren't working enough, they're not making enough money. And of course, interest rates and the housing market have not come down very much. And again, look, interest rates should be just determined based on fair market value and what the free market says, not what the Federal Reserve says. And of course, that's really what happens when you're a borrower. You're paying what the free market is, not being dictated by the Fed. But this K-shaped economy is a big problem. And there's a lot of problems. Again, I don't want to be Debbie Downer going into the new year. I'm just saying to you that, look, we've had 3 years in a row of double-digit gains. There is a lot of issues that we continue to ignore and avoid. And I've seen this movie in 1987. I saw this movie in 2001, and I saw it in 2008. And now I'm saying the same damn movie. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, top of Horowitz. It is Sunday, December the 28th. We're going to stop out of a break and come back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, everybody? How you doing? I hope you had a great holiday. Meantime, as you know, we have sponsors for the show, and again, they're brokerage partners. Now, I do have other brokers, but just to share who I prefer. And the brokers I prefer, one is Trade Your Brokerage, that for your options and equity needs. Again, it's $10 a month flat. They work with all of our automation. And again, $10 a month flat saves me over 100 grand a year. So I think that it's well worth taking a look at. And of course, all of our sponsors are listed and their websites are listed on our pages here. Capital Trading Group for your futures and commodity needs. Again, great customer service, wonderful people to deal with. We do a lot of partnerships with them. Check them out. And of course, the Joy of Mom, which is a brand new site that we're invested in and partners with that is a site and an app that moms can go to for advice, for questions, for chat rooms. And it's really a great idea. And we do have 4 million members and looking to grow. So please check it out. And of course, our high school program, which again, trying to create financial literacy and teach people and teach kids how to think is part of our goal. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and of course, our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 28th. And well, had an interesting week. We have now made new highs pretty much across the board with the exception of the NASDAQ. And our tops did not hold, and I'm going to make an assumption that the Nasdaq is not going to follow suit. When it was just the Dow and the Russell, I thought there was still a chance, but basically, though, if you look at the much bigger picture, the markets are really still in consolidation, trying to break to the upside. We're not going to tell you they can't. Again, I am pretty negative in general, but it's not going to affect that I'm going to stay invested in the market, and I'm going to stay hedged as we do. But I do think there's a lot of issues to be thinking about and a lot of worrisome things. At the end of the day, you're seeing in the K-shaped economy, you get only the very wealthy, which is really who's really so supports the markets anyways, are benefiting from what's going on. And the average American is really struggling. And I think that that's pretty much factual. You can tell me different, get great. Go ahead, please show me why. But, you go around and you see the prices, you see the inflation. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. And of course, the AI bubble, when you look at, a lot of the 401ks that were not involved in these AI stocks, they'd lost money for the year. So look, at the end of the day, we don't predict. We just trade what's available. We always tell you that we tend to stay long markets in general for investing because the markets do go up 8.5% year over year. So again, and the best thing to do is just hedge them. But as we do look at the markets, the dollar is still hovering around that 98-cent level. We're buyers of the dollar here. The euro currency is up near that 118.5. We're still sellers of the euro currency. Bonds and notes continue to come down. Again, that only means interest rates are going higher. This is the problem, and of course we are not buyers of bonds and notes. We're looking for rallies to sell them. Bitcoin's hovers between that 84,000 and 92,000 level. The metals exploded again. Now, again, that's another story, okay, and telling you that there's too much debt in this country and that it's telling you that inflation is too high. I mean, gold got up to 40, it's got up almost to 4,600. Okay. Silver was up $5 on Friday, 70. It may hit $80 this year. I had said on an outside shot it might hit 70, okay, with the anti-Cambone. And here we are close to 80. Platinum is now up over 150% for the year. So it was up $223 on Friday. So again, these are ridiculous numbers. Now, look, I'm happy I own them, but at the end of the day, you know that those parabolic moves have to stop. But also, they're telling you there's some other issues to be thinking about. Metals don't make these kind of moves, and of course, copper. Copper has exploded as well. Now, again, people will go, well, Dr. Copper, it's good for the economy. Well, it's really not. What's burning up the copper is a lot of the AI stuff, which again, you know my feelings on the AI stuff. But in the meantime, it's still going higher. We said that it could break out from 550, and here it is. The grain markets continue to struggle, indicating that we may be going into a stagflationary period. Certainly, if I were to do anything with the grains, I'd be looking to be a buyer. Cattle and hogs still hovering around the same ranges. I think that they both should be sold. But again, let's wait and see. We'll look at it more closer after the first year. This week won't be much to do. I don't have much interest with what's going to be going on here unless something just absolutely sticks out. Nat gas had a little pop, but it is going lower. And again, the warm winter is not helping the product, obviously. And crude oil cracked again, looking like it's heading back towards that 55 level. And I think there's a good chance we could get down into the low 50s before this year's out, which means the next 4 days or the next 3 days. But overall, I think there's a lot to be concerned about. I think that, again, there's a lot of problems that we continue to ignore, which is very common of people. But between the credit cards being transferred to 2027, the new card loans now giving you 100 months to pay, the 50-year mortgage talk, none of those things are bullish to the market. Those are actually very negative to Americans or very negative to the market in the long run. But short term, they make things look better. They give you an artificial sense that things are good. And we'll see what happens. Again, we're not making any predictions, but certainly I'd be very surprised if a year from now we talk that the markets are not down in a bear market at some point. But we'll see. We're not predicting, and we are still long, just to be full disclosure. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Top Bubba Horowitz will step out for a break and be back with our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, what's up, everybody? Again, of course, hope you had a great holiday. And as you know, we have sponsors. And again, just a reminder who they are. They are brokerage partners, and that's Capital Trading Group, Trader Brokerage, and of course, our partnership with the Joy of Mom. Check them out. And of course, our high school program. And of course, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and go over my commentary right now. Welcome back. This is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 28th. And of course, one of the things we like to share with everybody is really the structure of your estate, and how your estate should avoid so your heirs avoid things like probate, things like unknown, not finding some of your assets, all kinds of things. And I think that everybody should put together a setup where you have all of your accounts, how you want your money distributed, what you want done with everything. Should you be the one to go first? I know it's a little bit of a morbid subject, but I think that there is nothing more tragic than losing a loved one and then finding out that you have no idea where their assets and things are. And there are many forms out there. In fact, if anybody wants one, you can email me. I'll send you a form. It's just a straight form. You just go through it and answer the questions, and you can put it in a file. But I think it's important that your estate is in order, and it doesn't have to be a big estate, but whatever you have and whatever you want to pass on to your heirs, you want them to be able to get to it, and you don't want it to go to the government and taxes and then probate. And you certainly should look at putting together a place for all of your passwords, for example, for everything that you have, so that your heirs can go through and your wishes will be executed based on what you wanted, because it's a document. Again, it's about an 8-page document that, again, it's just all it is question and answers. I'll be happy to send it to any of you if you'd like to email me at bubba@bubbatrain.com. But really, it's important because, I've seen people who've lost loved ones, and of course their estates are a mess, and then suddenly they can't find anything. And is never the intention of me, for example. I mean, I have filled out the form, so everybody knows what to do should something happen to me. And I think that it's important that we all, as a New Year's resolution, make sure that your family and your heirs are taken care of. That's the bottom line. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you're leaving. What matters is that they can get to it, and it's taken care of to your best wishes. And that's it for today's Bubba's Bottom Line. As always, I appreciate your time. I want to take the time to wish you all a very happy and healthy New Year, a very prosperous 2026. And of course, for you football fans, we've gotten a little hotter lately, but we don't like a lot this week. It's a very challenging week. But believe it or not, we do like the Las Vegas Raiders. They went from a favorite to an underdog. We like the Cleveland Browns, another underdog. And we like the Buffalo Bills. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a happy, healthy New Year. Thanks so much. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update.
Joy of Mom is a platform to connect mothers everywhere with trusted information, practical tools, and a vibrant, family-focused community.
Gold IQ Group, the smartest minds in metals, for all of your precious metals needs.
Capital Trading Group, the introducing broker for serious futures traders.
Trade Year, options trading starting at $10 per month, flat fee.